What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse, rants, no hate. Just take a quick listen to something before I get into this.
Now that he went into a tough fight with Andy, the first fight, you see what he's about. You know, he doesn't like to get hit. He gets hurt easy, and you could probably say he's a little afraid. He's a little afraid to.
Can you fix that? Can you fix fear?
No, you can't.
No, you can't. You can't fix that. So, of course, we know that was Robert Garcia. And this was him talking about Anthony Joshua after he lost to the Ruiz fight. I don't need to repeat what he just said. So, when he decided that he was going to accept the offer to become, Anthony Joshua's trainer, he also, made comments about this would be his greatest victory, if AJ beats Usyk. Now, you can say, for one, he never had a heavyweight fighter, and then two, a heavyweight unified fighter. But three, I would add, because truthfully, I don't think he really deep down inside felt like Anthony Joshua could beat Usyk. Now, I'm not going to say he didn't try his best to help Anthony Joshua. We did see an improved Anthony Joshua, but, he fell short. Now, as a trainer, when he made that comment, I remember thinking, like, you wouldn't tell your own fighter that. And if you did tell him that, you would pretty much, a lot of trainers have fallen out with their fighters when it's like the fighters past their prime and they're just like, I'm not going to be a part of you going there getting hurt, because they just realized that the fighter just can't do it. So he went and he took the fight, and he even said, in that video that, Anthony Joshua just might retire. That's how bad he's seeing Anthony Joshua, the flaws and everything, and how he saw him as a fighter that, not that AJ can't fight, but in here, and in here. His heart, that gut feeling, that had the guts to, and the mindset. And people was talking to me about Floyd Mayweather, saying that, because, Floyd, I saw the video when he, the same night as the fight, when all Floyd said was basically that he talked to AJ. And you remember the video when him and AJ was together taking pictures and everything, and AJ came to the gym to visit, and he basically said, he told him that some things that he needed to fix, or he's going to lose. And I remember people was all, same thing, that AJ, Floyd just always trying to take somebody's light, or he just want Anthony Joshua around him because this and that, and he just always want to be that guy. When he offered to help Wilder, turned his help down. And if you remember, Wilder, matter of fact, I think that's a video that I might have played it or repeated, the fact that he said Floyd just wants attention to himself. He don't like to not be in the spotlight and all this dumb shit. And it's like, okay, this is their choices, right? One of the false narratives is, Anthony Joshua and AJ, yeah, they're different fighters. But, Floyd don't know how, because they're different fighters, different mindsets, Floyd wouldn't know how to teach him because Floyd is all finesse. That's bullshit. Floyd may be known as a slick finesse boxer, but guess what? Floyd fights different ways in that ring, which is something I've done several videos bringing these things out. Floyd has faced all these different styles, and he's overcome every one of them. So, like I told you guys several times, and I just repeated this last week, sometimes you may have to fight a boxer and you may have to box a fighter. And sometimes you may have to switch it up. Floyd knows how to do that. Whatever you try to do, he shuts that shit down. Okay, he'll switch up and do something different. What's necessary to neutralize what you're doing? Did you see Anthony Joshua display that in the fight? We don't know exactly what, Robert Garcia was teaching him and, Angel Fernandez or whatever. But let me say this. I've been telling you guys, it doesn't matter who trains Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua does not understand what he has to do, he doesn't see the logic in it, he doesn't understand, okay, this is why I would have to do, okay, I see. It doesn't make a difference. He has to understand, but he has to go in and implement. I said Anthony Joshua fights himself, and he put limitations on himself because he's telling himself, even to come out and say, I'm not a 12-round fighter, like, okay, so why wasn't you trying to knock this guy out? Because basically, at the end of the day, you did go in there and try. And I'm not saying fight stupidly, of course not. But you're behind on points. Now, if you thought you won the first fight for some reason, then maybe you thought you won this one because you did better in this fight than you did in the last one. But no, you lost both fights. I can't sit here and guarantee you, oh, if Floyd would have trained him, he'd have won. But Floyd, definitely, from what we know of him, not that you come out and try to disrespect your fighter and play them out, but I believe Floyd would have, if AJ is not doing shit right, I believe Floyd would have not, look, you need to fix that. Now, Robert Garcia said camp was rough the first couple of weeks, but then everything smoothed out and everything was working, real good. Anthony Joshua is not the kind of fighter that can switch it, that can understand what he needs to do without his corner telling him. Like, let me tell you something. A skilled, experienced fighter, even just common sense in a fight, okay, now I see what he's doing. You're the one in it. People always say, well, you're in the fight, you don't realize what's going on. That's bullshit. How the fuck you think fighters slip punches, move, counter, parry, do? How the hell do you think fighters do that? Sidestep, how you understand what's going on. That's how you're reading your opponent. You're playing chess, you're setting traps. You understand what they're trying to do. Okay, cool. I see what he's doing. And you're doing your best to nullify that shit. Anthony Joshua just doesn't have, at least against Usyk, he didn't have that mindset. We can't say that he didn't understand what he needed to do against Andy Ruiz because he beat him in the rematch very easily. Okay? Usyk is the first fighter that he's fought that he couldn't solve that problem. Just like Wilder just can't solve Tyson Fury, even though he managed to knock him down. That's really the only difference with the Usyk fights and with AJ and Fury and Wilder in terms of how people well, there's a lot of bias there too, but the way a lot of people are, oh nah, Wilder went out on his shield. No, he said he wanted to go out on his shield in the second fight. We know how that went. He was getting his ass whooped though. Third fight, he managed to knock Fury down. Fury managed to knock him down. But at the same time, as limited as Wilder is, and as limited as Fury says Wilder is, he shouldn't have got knocked down by that guy. He shouldn't even got hit with the punches he got hit with, but he did. So there's, nobody fights. Look, there's no such thing when you say, oh, he's fighting a perfect fight. No, you're fighting the best fight you can. Fury got dropped because of carelessness. Wilder didn't set him up and you want to get cute. I see. That's what that was. And he caught him slipping. It wasn't like it was one of them set up shots. He's doing this. He got caught walking in hands down, especially when Wilder, because, Wilder had this facial expression with his mouth open. He looked like he's exhausted, and maybe so. But at the same time, he just started letting his hands go. And regardless, the point is he scored the knockdown. But mentally, okay, Wilder doesn't know how to box, so mentally, that's his thing. I'm going to come forward and knock you out. That's all he knows is coming forward. So that's why when you look at those fights, you can say, well, yeah, at least Wilder got knockdowns. AJ managed to hurt, make Usyk feel his shots, but he never really had him in any danger of going down. Now, he dropped Andy Ruiz in the first fight that they had, but, people always want to overlook that because of the way the fight ended, regardless. He got his ass whooped. Wilder got his ass whooped. At the end of the day, it is going to come a time, I would think, with any fighter who really wants smoke, that those paths are going to cross. You're going to do everything in your power to make it happen. Now we know the network's going to have the fights, and then when you on two different platforms, all this whatever. But when I'm looking at what Robert Garcia said, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe he never believed in AJ. Well, we know he didn't from what he just said. But maybe he just I'm gonna try my best. Look, he gave Brandon Rios all the props in the world on being able to give Pacquiao a good fight. Remember when Pacquiao got beat, when he got knocked out by Marquez? That was his comeback fight against Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios, at best, was okay. In his prime, there was no point in time that he was good enough to beat Manny Pacquiao. And then there was, he didn't fight the way he was supposed to, and this and this and this, and okay. So you don't expect Robert Garcia, any trainer, to sit there and say training's not going good. They'll try to just say less and just get off that subject, We have seen improvements in Anthony Joshua. So I'm not saying that Robert Garcia didn't go in there and do his best to help him. But it's up to Anthony Joshua to implement. Now, Dillian White had a lot to say. He always wants to troll and make fun of people, and So the way I see it, that's a fight that could happen, a rematch between him and Anthony Joshua. There's material there. There's a story there. There's a history there. There's a genuine dislike there. And basically, maybe that's what Dylan's trying to do. And Dylan's very childish. He always want to laugh and make, like I said, my thing was, I don't know what Dylan laughing at. You just got knocked the fuck out in 6 rounds. Not so much in defense of Anthony Joshua. Just the point of the logic. You make it sound like you walked away with a victory, or you got robbed against Fury. You went in and got stretched in 6 rounds. And I don't even remember him landing the punch on Fury in that fight. And Fury just made you look like an amateur in there. So this would be redemption. Whoever he comes back against can't be some mediocre guy. It's going to be redemption. This will still be considered a big fight. So he and Anthony Joshua both have something to prove. They both have 3 losses, and there's differences between the two. There's differences in their resume. I feel like those two have the best heavyweight resumes. And the fact that, the accolades that AJ went out there and earned for himself, he holds a victory over White. He's a 2-time unified champion. Now, Dillian White basically had a chance to have a rematch with Anthony Joshua, but he turned it down because he felt like, no, they're playing. This, he didn't like the money situation. Okay. Well, it'd be different now, right? Because you can't get knocked out and then, start barking about more money. And also, he made a big stink about not getting enough money and what he was trying to get his just due against Fury, and I completely supported that. But after all of that, you went in there and basically just got knocked the fuck out. And the funny thing is how all the fans oh man, Tyson's a big, no shit. We know that. And Dylan knew that. So bottom line, he had no game plan. Okay, if he had a game plan, he forgot it once the bell rung. Because I don't see what he was trying to do. Get close enough to hit him by just lifting your legs up to your knees, jogging in place, and then run in front of him and stand there and do nothing and just wait for him to get off. First off, Fury is a thinker. You don't want to give Fury time to really think about what he wants to do. What people don't understand about Tyson Fury right now, Fury is not nearly as fleet of foot as he used to be. That's why this walk a guy down style works against Wilder. But you see how he didn't fight Dylan that way? But Dylan couldn't figure anything out. He couldn't get in. Dylan doesn't have the head movement or the footwork to get close enough to Fury to do what he needed to do. And instead of him you got to find a way to get in. And he couldn't. And that fight, that was the worst showing I've ever seen Dylan White have. So at the end of the day, yeah, Tyson Fury is a good fighter, but it wasn't so much, Tyson, stop all this God mode stuff. Fury style, his height and his reach, his size, he knows how to use that. But going backwards, Fury doesn't fight the way he used to. And when he was fighting, when he could move and he was fast on his feet, he wasn't so much fighting when he was moving back. He was just able to get, slip and slide and move out the way. Throw his shots, get in, get out. Fury can't fight going backwards like that anymore. And Fury's punches, they have weight on him. When he put his weight down, when he sits down in his shots, it's not so much that he has like big punching power. No, he knows how to distribute his weight now to his shots when he sits down in his punches. So you have to take Fury out of his comfort zone now. You understand what I'm saying? But it's for the fighter to figure out how he needs to get in. So him and his team get together and work it out, and they didn't. Now, the most intriguing fights right now in heavyweight boxing is still the fights that we didn't have. Let's just be real. Would you guys really, no matter how much you happy to see Wilder come back, Wilder says he's coming back because the people need it. Boxing needs him back, right? Well, do you really want to see Wilder versus Robert Helenius? That could have been Dylan White versus Wilder. You understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, we know Joseph Parker and Joe Joyce, they got their date in court. I mean, he could have came back against Daniel Dubois. And why not Dylan White? Wilder said that Dylan White style is easy to beat. Okay, so go give him a fourth loss. Go knock him out. That's all I'm saying. We don't want to see no fucking Robert Helenius. And even for Robert Helenius, he has nothing to lose in this fight, because for the people that know Robert Helenius, they like him as a fighter, is because he comes to fight hard. But he's easy to hit. He's a C-class boxer. Yes, he's a C-class fighter. Let's not get it pumped up. Okay, he's easy to hit. He throws punches with a very wide guard. He's open. He has power, but he's slow. His hands are slow. His feet are slow, and his head's right there in the middle. Okay, he beat Adam Kalnowski, and people are like, "Oh yeah, this and that," and he okay. Kalnowski beat Gerald Washington, right? And then Gerald Washington knocked out Helenius in the 8th round. Wilder, he knocked out Gerald Washington in the 5th. Wilder shouldn't even be fighting this kind of opposition now. Y'all got to stop with all these excuses about, Wilder got a late, he got a late start. All of them got a late start. No, it's not so much he got a late start. It's with Wilder, it's the fact that he didn't have a long amateur career. It's not so much a late start. AJ got a late start. But even with AJ, they went pro way before Anthony Joshua, Hayden Fury. So it's one of those things where what I'm saying, they're all, AJ was learning on the job, but after he got that title, it was like, yeah, now he was already fighting them with the top guys. He's going every fight, he's going up. So, he had his situation where it's only going to get tougher from here, right? He wasn't handpicking people. He wasn't, I don't want to fight him. I want to fight this guy instead. That's not what was going on. So, with him and Usyk, okay, no need for a third fight with them. No need. You can still get an interesting heavyweight fight with White and with AJ. With Wilder and White. With Wilder and AJ. Okay, there's other fights as well. But I'm talking about the fights that we never got. You never got Joseph Parker versus, Deontay Wilder. Now he fought AJ and he fought White. Okay, and he lost to both of them. Andy Ruiz. We got him in AJ, but we never got him in Usyk, him in Fury, him in Wilder, or him in White. And now when you take everybody else, I feel like, Joe Joyce, he has to beat Parker. Parker has to beat him. But Parker's been there. Parker's been champion, and Parker is more respected, even though he doesn't look the same skill wise. He doesn't like the same guy. He didn't look as so sharp as he once did. Parker really should beat Joe Joyce, to be honest with you. Now, if he's in shape, they go to 12 rounds, and he fights smart. Joe Joyce, we know he's slow as molasses, his hands and his feet. His body movements are slow. He's slow to respond on defense, and he's there to be hit, which means you can pile up rounds and you can win on points. You don't have to knock him out to win. And his best chance really is if he catch Joe Joyce slipping, and Joseph Parker slipping, and Parker's for whatever reason, getting hit the shots that he shouldn't get hit with. He's not in shape or something, because you can see his shots coming. Now, with the exception of Usyk, Joyce hasn't really had any, really top tier opponents. So, Daniel Dubois is one of the up and coming guys. And I give Dubois props as he's I can't say how much he's improved, but I want to I got my eyes open to see what he does. FA just fought the other day, got a stoppage. FA, I can't, he didn't look any different really. So the heavyweight landscape is just kind of like it's the same guys. Jared Anderson, he looked good in his fight. And the way I see it, it's going to take somebody, a fresh face, somebody that comes in, even like a Jared Anderson, that is going to do something that's going to really get eyes on him in the heavyweight division. Because between Usyk and Fury, most people look at it like, Usyk and Fury are the two best heavyweights out there. Anthony Joshua just lost twice to Usyk. Wilder lost, twice to Fury. White got knocked out by AJ, and he just got knocked out by Fury. And so most people feel like he'll get knocked out by Wilder too. But because you think something doesn't mean the fight shouldn't happen. The fight should still happen. But point is, it would take someone new that will come out, someone up and coming that will do something that, let's say for example, Usyk, he outpointed AJ twice. This guy has to come along and really beat the brakes off of AJ, or knock him out, whatever, and do what Usyk didn't do. And people are going to go, oh, Usyk beat him, but this guy put hurt on AJ. Say Jared Anderson was that guy. Then say Jared Anderson fought Wilder. Now, first thing they're going to do is compare his performance to Fury's. Let's say he goes and destroy Wilder. And it's like, damn, he beat him way worse than Fury did. Knocked him out even sooner. Yeah, people going to say, he wasn't the same because Fury cheated. They're already saying it, and I told you guys they were going to say that. They've been saying that. Nonsense. But anyway, and not saying he didn't have a lot taken out of him, but I'm not talking about from cheating or whatever, like that whole story. All right, whatever. But that type of thing. Now, let's say he fights Dillian White, knocks him out, even if it's the same uppercut, but he knocks him out in 2 rounds. You understand? It's going to take somebody that's going to have to, out with the old and with the new, and this dude, Jared Anderson, that type of situation where his performances, outshine, these guys that's here now before him. So that type of thing, because the heavyweight division, the shakeup that's about to happen is because you're not going to have undisputed for long, and what I really don't want to see happen overall is, let's just say, Parker has a belt. Wilder has a belt. Frank Sanchez has a belt. This guy, everybody has a belt, but nobody wants to fight the other champions. And it's back to everybody just calling names, and I've been this, I'm better than this person, I'm this, I'm the best fighter out there, I'm the best heavyweight, but then the fights don't happen. I mean, because that's what it was before unification happened, but at the end of the day, we'll see. And also, I want to touch on this too. It doesn't have to mean anything, but, remember, there was a date targeted for December 17th for Fury and Usyk. And basically, the fights finalized December 17th. Then the very next day, I'm hearing talks and they're saying they're trying to do it early, like late 2022 or early 23. Now I'm hearing February. Okay, January. My thing is, it would be stupid to put a fight on December 17th. Christmas is December 25th. People are doing Christmas shopping. People are, preparing to, spend money and travel and do things. It would be really stupid to make your fight, the week before Christmas. That's kind of stupid. So, anyway, now they're saying January. Okay, fine. Deontay Wilder, if you saw one of his latest interviews, he was basically, they were talking about him, what does he think about Fury? Is he really retired? And, I think he say, if he say, yeah, I think he retired, if he said he retired or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Wilder's saying, well, I think he's going to have to retire, actually, and then he's talking about some things going on that he can't speak on, He's talking about legal situations. And how the hell would Wilder know what Tyson Fury's going through as a boxer unless he's involved, right? So if he can't speak on it, that means he's involved in it. And I believe that it's something stemming from the whole Glovegate situation. Now, did Wilder say that? Let's not get it twisted either, because before guys get interviewed, they'll tell guys, yo, don't ask me this, don't ask me that, we're not going to talk about this, or they'll tell them what to ask them. So maybe, who knows? Maybe Wilder's just running his mouth, because they said all this about Fury before. They was going to get him out the sport after they beat him, and they was going to expose this and this. Now, nothing's been exposed to the public. Nothing's been exposed, period. As far as proof and evidence of him having egg weight and all that. So who knows? But Wilder said that. And when he said it, I'm like, So I'm saying, well, if that's true, remember how when Fury was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua, and then Fury said there, I have it confirmed. I received a letter today from Saudi, and talk about the fight's on and he's happy and all. And then the very next day, they ended up saying that there was no fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. That Tyson Fury, was going to fight Wilder. Now, here's the thing about it, and people need to understand. Even to say it's not about the money, right? He still could have fought Anthony Joshua for undisputed. He just would have had to pay Deontay Wilder to step aside. And he didn't want to do that. So he fought him in the third fight. He didn't have to fight him. Okay? That was that and that was the deal. If he was going to, he could fight. Okay, that was part of it. You could fight Anthony Joshua. But you going to pay me X amount to step aside. But he chose to go with the fight with Wilder. Okay, fine. So undisputed didn't happen. So it's obvious that wasn't a part of his plans. So when he's saying things like he's not interested in fighting Usyk, he doesn't fancy this guy, he's a middleweight, I'll beat him easy and all this. He's saying all of that, but then now, like I said, maybe Wilder's just running his mouth. But if there's any truth to what Wilder's saying, what if all of a sudden everybody's all, yeah, the fight's on, then all of a sudden, no fight? What if? Pause. Now, I'm just going to play the clip, okay? Because you always have somebody, where'd you hear this? I never heard that. Just let you hear this clip.
Trainers work with their hands outside of boxing, right? But Deontay, man, we heard you talking about taking another run at becoming unified, one face in the division. You're still number one for the WBC. Do you think Fury is serious about retiring and vacating that belt? What do you think of all that?
I think he's gonna have to retire. He's gonna have to retire. So
legal issues.
You said legally?
I'm not going to even get into it. But it's looking like he's going to have to. And once that happens, then, anything, all things is up for grabs. I can't give too much information out. I don't really want to discuss it. But it's going to be a lot of changes in the division, a lot of opportunities, and a lot of different things lined up. So stay tuned.
You just see any changes in the heavyweight fight?
Okay. Now, you heard what he just said. All right? I think he's going to have to retire. There's a lot of things going on. And the guy says, legally? Yeah. And he's saying, well, I don't want to really get into it. I can't say too much. So obvious what's going on is between him and Fury. Okay? Obviously. And maybe that's why Fury started talking that nonsense about, oh, I'm retiring. But yet, he was still paying sanctioning fees, still WBC champion, and as far as we know, right, supposed to be fighting Usyk in January. So for Wilder to say that, you understand what I'm saying? Like why would he just say that just to say it? So who knows? Now, one thing I will say, Wilder has said a whole lot in the past, and so has people from his camp. Okay, and none of this stuff that they said came to fruition. So it's like, you understand? Do you really feel like what he's saying is reliable? That yeah, Fury's really good. He's like, you heard him. He may have to retire. Okay, and he's saying he's going through a lot of things right now, but he can't speak on it. Well, back to my point. Anybody who gets that title, aside from Usyk and Fury, is going to be seen as an excuse. So for all the talk and all of the people that shits on every other fighter to try to make it just seem like there's no, everybody's a shit fighter. Yet the same people will try to tell you that these fighters are better than the '90s version fighters and whatever. But yeah, they shit on every fighter except for the ones that they like. So when he's saying that, for the heavyweight division, this is why you're gonna have to have somebody that's gonna be able to come out and like either equal or surpass what those guys did. And I really feel more like surpass because, even though Joe Joyce is fighting Joseph Parker, for example, it's not like the boxing, like everybody's just talking about this fight. I'm interested in this fight, but it's not one of those things. It's not even coming up in the conversations. You don't see these guys all over social media. You just don't see it like that. So who is going to be that star that's going to come out and is like, that guy, everybody wants to see him. People are basically, separating, who they like based on, skin color and nationality and all this shit still going on to this very day. And, the heavyweight division needs a shake up. I've been saying this for a while. They need some fresh blood in there. And, the point that people was making, about Floyd not being a good trainer for AJ. Like I told you in the last one of my previous videos. Well, he also fights different from Tank, right? And look what Tank is. And basically the only letdown, if anything, is the fact that Tank he's a 3-time world champion, 3-division world champion. The guy is a solid fighter, but he's not. The fight is still fights we want to see him have. Put it like that. And we already know the business model is more like, all right, now we keep it over here, they keep it over there. They want this, they got to come here, and then that type of nonsense. But at the same time, as I said, Floyd knows how to fight different styles. He knows how to fight against different styles. So again, I can't guarantee what would have happened if he would have got Floyd in his corner. But and the same with Deontay. Either one of them could have used Floyd's help. But, they didn't. The outcome is the outcome. What would have happened if they would have? We will never know, right? And, if you are going to look at who's who and who's capable, great trainers or even good trainers wasn't necessarily good boxers. Great trainers wasn't necessarily even a good boxer, right? So, think about somebody who is highly skilled and does, have a solid resume against, quality top fighters. So how you gonna go wrong with having somebody like that in your corner? So they didn't. They went their own route. Now, if Robert Garcia is going to remain in AJ's corner, not only can Anthony Joshua not walk around with this mentality like he has and continue to fight himself. There's not like there's no 2 and 3 Usyks in the division. It's only one Usyk. He's not going to have that same problem with other fighters in terms of their boxing skills. He's not going to have that same problem trying to find these guys and land shots. A quick fighter that can move. When you look at who's out there, like I said, I think a guy like Frank Sanchez will give AJ problems because his movement, his skills overall, his ability to slip punches and counter punch. Maybe, I definitely think he'll give AJ problems. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say who will win. I don't know who would win, and then 2, I think Frank Sanchez is a problem for any of these guys. But at the same time, You know, like I said, I'm not gonna go through, well, he beat him, so he'll beat him. That's bullshit. You guys see, there's a lot of uneducated people on boxing. There's people who don't fight themselves. They don't train them. They don't do none of that shit. They've never even been in the ring. They've never sparred anybody. They've never done shit. They just sit on their couch comparing shit and on YouTube looking up who did what and who said, just so they can come on and make an argument. And, you know, I can't tell you what the fuck a fighter's going to do in that bell ring. I don't know what's going to happen. But what I will say is, for the fighters, that when you say that this guy beat him and so he'll beat him, no, it's no guarantee. Not at all, it's no guarantee. Most of the time, people say these things, they're wrong. Why? Because you're imagining how the fight's going to go based on, oh, he fights similar to him, so he'll beat him. And then when they fight, it's like, oh, what I thought, yeah, you thought. So I'm not going to go with, this guy beat this guy. I can tell you what I think, but that's really irrelevant, because what matters is when they get in the ring. My whole thing is this. It's not about you telling me or me telling you or anybody telling anybody like what's going to happen and, oh, okay, well, it's set in stone because you said it. It's the fact that when these guys fight, they have to go in there and do what they're supposed to do. I like combination punches. That's what I teach guys to do. I put combinations together. Fast, hard, sharp shots. Get in, get out, move, pressure, whatever it takes. That's why we all teach fighters to be hybrid fighters, not just one style. Because if it's a situation where you're used to, you know, coming forward, now you might have a guy that has that rugged come forward, and what if you might have trouble catching him? What if? Now, what if you can't fight on the back foot? What if you're used to fighting on the back foot, but now you need to walk a guy down, but you don't know how to fight that way? So it's not about one style. It's not about, you know, trying to keep you basic, but you have to work with what a person has. We can't imagine and give you superpowers. So when I watch these guys fight, and I hear, you know, the so-called fans running their mouths about what happened and look, real simple. What we've seen happen with AJ, we've seen happen with other fighters. Right now, other fighters. Like, what happened? Look, Roy Jones, for example, said he was being interviewed. He was talking the other day. This is like a recent interview, a couple of days ago. I think they was at like another Hall of Fame ceremony, because Michael Nunn, Julian Jackson, all these guys. I think it was there. Floyd was there and all. He said that he think that Teofimo, problem with what happened with Lomachenko, was Teofimo was just too big for him, right? That might have something to do with it. Who knows? But at the same time, I'm not gonna go for that. I'm gonna say the skills was there, because it's not like he knocked Lomachenko out, but he outclassed him. But at the same time, Teofimo was way bigger than George Kambosos too. Right? Check it out. Nobody brought that up. Well, the Kambosos fans did, or the people that don't like Teofimo brought it up. But notice how nobody was saying before the fight, oh, Devin Haney was too big for Kambosos. They thought Kambosos was going to school Devin Haney, right? And all that, I'm going to do this, I'm in his career talk, right? But now all of a sudden, oh, Teofimo was just too big for Lomachenko. Okay. So, you understand? Well, why wasn't he too big for Kambosos? And he was way bigger than Kambosos, and you could see it in the fight. You know, same thing with Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. Nobody was talking about, oh, he's too big for Oscar Valdez, but after he beat him, oh, big deal, you beat a smaller guy. Like, yeah, sour grapes. The guy you wanted to win lost. Now it's an excuse that, oh, he was too big. You know, all of this bull crap. I don't get caught up into that. People getting their feelings and leave stupid ass comments, say different things. They go from channel to channel just talking, and it's like, yeah, you someone who never fucking even had a fucking schoolyard fight, but you know everything about boxing. I tell people this, and if you listen to me, I speak as a competitor. I don't speak as a fan. So even for like any fighter, I feel like film study is vital. And when I say film study, I don't mean sitting there with popcorn. Oh man, this guy was so great. Oh, I'm such a fan. I can't wait. No. I mean, you're watching. Why is he doing what he's doing? Oh, now I see he switched. He did that. Okay, yeah. How would I fight this guy? What would I do? That's film study. Breaking these fights. This is what you do, and you learn. You have an understanding of why this person is doing it. Not getting caught up in starstruck because this guy, oh man, look at how they fight it. And if you don't have it in you to do those same things that you know, fighters have a tendency to name a bunch of fighters like that's impressive because you remember, you know, these guys' fights, their names. Now you watch the fights, you study the fights, right? Then you need to break down and understand why. Like I said, what's going on. In that ring, you're a technician, you're a painter, you're making your own painting, right? But you're adjusting. You may have to adjust and readjust to your opponent, right? So the least you can do is make them just as uncomfortable as they're trying to make you. You see, and when you put a person in a position where mentally, like what we saw with AJ is trying to outbox Usyk. Okay. The reason why Tyson Fury doesn't expand a lot of energy, as much energy as AJ does, Tyson Fury doesn't throw a lot of punches. If you think about it, he mostly spends time stalking, jumps up, 1-2, hold, walk you back to the ropes, put his weight on you, hit you on the side while the ref ain't looking, stuff like that. Make the ref come and break up the clinch and all of that, and it's the same thing over and over. Get out the way, stay out of harm's way. Come in, 1-2, boom, right? Rip a shot to the body or something, grab, walk you down. He's not even grabbing to avoid punches so much. It's a tactic purposely to walk you down. And once he see that, when he rushes in, like when he was doing Wilder kept leaning down. Then he's leaning his weight on Wilder's back, putting his weight on him, waiting till the ref break it up, knocking him up. That's what Fury does. Fury's not in there throwing 40, 50 punches around. He's not doing that. Anthony Joshua is scared to empty his tank before it's time. So he holds back. And if you are not comfortable inside, it exhausts you mentally as well. So basically, he's not even thinking. If he is thinking, he wasn't able to, okay, I'm not winning this chess match. I need to get up on this dude, back him up, cut him off, get him into the ropes, pound his body. It didn't have to be a pretty win, but you needed to win. And he didn't do those things because that's not who he is. He needs to understand that. To win a fight, you have to think outside the box. He wasn't trying anything different. Did you see Dillian White try anything different against Fury? No. And people, no, man, it ain't easy to get an asshole. After 6 rounds of doing the same shit over and over, he finally got knocked the fuck out. What was he going to do different in 7, 8, 9 if he'd have made it? Nothing. Nothing. And bottom line is, did you see Wilder do anything different against Fury? So talking about what you're going to do different and saying all of this is one thing. But what happens when you get in there and you realize I'm not comfortable doing all those things? So, you know, we're dealing with a fighter in AJ that has a trainer that said he can't be fixed and that he's scared to get punched. Now, I would believe conversations came up in that camp of, you know, trying to get his mind and his confidence there. Maybe AJ felt intimidated as far as having Floyd in this corner. Because maybe he felt like Floyd is more of a no-nonsense. Like, you know, maybe who knows? Maybe he felt like he could, who knows? Maybe he felt like Floyd expectations would have been something he couldn't fulfill. Who knows? I don't know. This is just me saying this, but who knows? You know, why he went with Robert Garcia. Robert Garcia is a good trainer. But why he went with Robert Garcia over Floyd, I don't know. I don't know. And that leads me to the whole point of thinking, like, what was it about Robert Garcia that you feel like he was a better fit for you than Floyd? And like I said, for the people that was talking about stylistically, it's like, see, you guys show you know nothing about fucking boxing, man. You don't know shit. Everybody, look, when you learn how to sit down on your punches, you punch harder. Okay? When you learn how to twist your torso to get shots, you get more impact, you know, behind your punches. Okay? You get your body behind your shots, and actually you don't have to really expand as much energy as when you are just trying to swing hard from the shoulder, which is what a lot of fighters do. Okay, Wilder does that shit. That windmill shit, that's not coming from his body. That's all his arm shit. All that windmill, that's throwing arm punches. And on top of that, it's like when you throw, now he gets his body behind the right hand, but not behind his hooks and uppercuts. Okay, but when you break down a fight and you look at what a fighter is doing, that's why I say people look at the decision, and especially when you want a fighter to lose, you just, oh, come on, man. But no, you're sitting back, studying, and you observing what's happening. You realize what this guy's doing, why he's doing it. The same way you have a trainer telling you shit, if you as a fighter can't absorb this and you can't see what's going on in that ring, you're going to be lost if a guy's crafty enough to just keep giving you different looks. Even if it's the same two and three different, but he's doing it where you can't really, you don't know when it's coming. And it's obvious that AJ can't fight, as a southpaw, because, even to switch hit, do something different, to even attempt to do something different, you still have to be comfortable doing it. But see, when you train to do different things in camp, that's why I say I think people spar too much in camp and not worry about the techniques. What would I do against the difference? Like, just so it stays in your mind. Because just like you go to work every day, okay? Imagine if whatever you do for a living, usually doing it twice or maybe sometimes 3 times a year. There's shit you're going to forget till you get back. Okay, wait. And through time, it's easier to remember. But you're going to forget at some point. And as years go by, it comes back to you, but you stay sharp, right? So what you doing between them times? You still practicing or studying what you're supposed to do to keep it fresh in your head, so when you get back to it, it's already there. Now, in boxing, it's the same thing, but the opponents are going to be different. Every southpaw, just like every orthodox fighter, whatever, they're not going to fight you the same exact way. Usyk is already used to fighting orthodox fighters all the time. So maybe if he gets in there with a guy that can switch up and do both, who knows? It depends on the person. That's all. It depends on the person. But that was a fight, that going into that fight, like I said, that for people that was telling me what they thought, I was like, I just really said, man, we just have to see what happens, because I've never seen a sign of AJ showing confidence. Because no matter what he says, he ends it with, just have to just do my best. Even when they asked him, what is he doing to prepare for this fight? Like, what's one of the main things he's doing? Pray. He said, pray. You understand? Pray. Just like if you grew up in the streets, you understand where to go, what you should and shouldn't do when you're in certain places, who's about what. You pick up things when other people don't. You understand what I mean? Because it's your environment, and that's the same thing. This is boxing. You need to understand. So to be a student of the game is not being able to sit up and tell me what year Ali fought Ernie Terrell and what venue it was and when did Sugar Ray and Hagler fight. No, that's just, you got a good memory of that shit. But what have you taken from these fighters? What have you learned to implement in your own style? Bruce Lee said it best. You should learn any style that helps you become a good fighter. Doesn't matter if it's boxing, if it's jiu-jitsu, if it's, any style. That's what it's about. So, be like water, my friend. I just thought that was really interesting. The thought of getting these fights, the most intriguing heavyweight fights are still the ones that we haven't got yet. And also, the fact that Robert Garcia, showed that he didn't believe in Anthony Joshua. Now, of course, that comment he made, that was, referring to the fight with Andy Ruiz. So this was somewhere around that time, like, when before he became his trainer, put it like that. I think this was, and this was definitely before the second loss that he just had. It wasn't in between as before all of that. But still, the point is, that's how he feels about Anthony Joshua. So he knew he had his work cut out for him. And also, I felt that was interesting what Deontay Wilder said, in a way, because like I said, he said a whole lot of things and none of it came into fruition. And I'm not at all saying that it's factual. I'm saying, but what if, You know, what if there's some truth to it? And one more thing too. You know, people. I was sitting there. As a matter of fact, I just was watching a Mike Tyson interview, and basically, you know, they have a Mike Tyson show on Hulu. It's about his life, and what they're doing in this. The point of this series is to look at the things that people already know about Mike Tyson, but let's focus on details and things that they don't know, things that we don't hear people talk about, that Mike Tyson might not even really talk about, and we're gonna put these things in, and it's supposed to be a story of his life. And for the people that was saying, yeah, but Mike don't like the show, I don't know why Mike hating on the show and all this crazy stuff. I don't know what it is with you guys always hating. Man, people can't be honest about things without hating. Everything is hating. That's just immature shit. Basically, Mike Tyson, in his own words, he was being interviewed by that guy, Mario, whatever, the guy from Saved by the Bell. Okay, and he's a big fight fan, always at the fights and stuff. Mike Tyson said it's disgusting because they did the show without his consent. They didn't come to him to offer him any money, anything. That they basically were people that he thought was friends of his. And they decided to take his life story and actually make a movie out of it. Make a show, a series out of it or whatever, without his consent. And that basically is not his story. It's them deciding to put things together, you know, and on their own. So the things that they do know, you know, it still didn't come from like them saying, Mike, tell us about yourself. We want to do a series about you and like, you know, give us something like what, you know, this is what our idea is. And then, you know, what do you think? And then, you know, they incorporate things and, you know, together and make it come out the way it's supposed to. They just took his story and ran. And Mike Tyson also said that he has a series a show that they're going to do about his life, but it's going to have his input. Now, personally, you know, I've seen the Mike Tyson movie and stuff, and like, you know, I'm really not into these autobiographies, man. Like you see, if I'm interested in something, okay, cool. And one thing you got to always understand about true stories, they have to make it appealing to the audience, so they can exaggerate and hype up everything. I mean, we've seen people, you know, defending Eazy-E, saying, man, he wasn't broke. What they talk about in the movie they made him, he was broke. Same thing with, you know, Tupac. They had things in the movie that they say wasn't true and all. So it's always the life story. They just take things and then they give it their own little twist and say, you know what, okay, even if that's true, this lie sounds way better, and that's going to be more appealing to the fans than that truth. So that type of thing. So that's why Mike don't like the show, because they did it without his consent. And basically he said, yeah, they like it's basically saturated. It's not, you know, legit. That's what he said. This is going to be a legit story that he's going to do. And initially, the Hulu show, Jamie Foxx was supposed to be the actor in that show. So I don't know. Maybe he talked to Mike. Maybe Mike let him know, no, we got a show we're doing, whatever, and we want you to do our show. Who knows? Mike didn't say that part. I'm just saying, who knows what happened? I don't know, because basically the guy that played Mike Tyson is not Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx was initially the guy that was supposed to play Mike. But that's why he don't like the show. So for the people that was asking and was, you know, talking about it, and I've seen certain videos about it, and I'm like, yeah, we was talking about it, and I felt like, because I'm not going to do a whole video about that, I'll just incorporate that into the next video that I do. So anyway, just wanted to get this video out to you guys. I got things to do. This probably be the only video I do today. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hair to people. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. But let me know in the comment section what y'all think about Deontay Wilder's comments. What y'all think about Robert Garcia's comments. And then end up being a trainer, you know, of Anthony Joshua. You know. And then the future of the heavyweight division. Because like I said, at some point, real soon, there's not going to be any more unified champion. And if Fury really does retire, whether before or after this Usyk fight, if Usyk actually retires before, well, I ain't going to say, because he said if he don't fight Fury, he's going to retire, but I feel like he's going to retire with or without Fury. I think what he was really trying to say is he wants the Fury fight, you know, right now. Then he's going to retire. If he doesn't get the Fury fight, he's going to retire. Because that's what we heard. That, he said if you don't get Fury, he's retiring. You're going to base your career on one other person. So yeah, I mean, because Wilder's still out there, you can fight Wilder. You know, tell me what y'all think about that. You know, the division, not so much that part, because if they do retire, for these guys that already lost to Usyk and to Fury without them being there, like I said, whoever gets the belt is going to be seen as just an excuse. And you know, through time, it will take people to kind of, you know, get that out their system and have a new guy come in that is getting everybody's attention. So we don't know. Because when I look around, I don't see who that guy is yet. I know Jared Anderson is an up-and-coming guy. Frank Sanchez is an up-and-coming guy. We have other guys. Daniel Dubois out there. F.A. Jaba's out there still. You know. But we'll see how it goes. Let me know. Catch y'all on the next one. Out.